Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to Chewing the Fat with Rollin Picker. Normally, you guys probably will notice, normally it's Rollin Picker and Katy Trader, but Katy Trader was out riding today and he had some difficulties with his motorcycle. So it's going to be me and my special guest, who I'm going to introduce in a second. Um, I want to thank all those that are here right now. There's Jade, So Get This. Of course, Lori's here, Daisy Naples, and Borderline Hortish, who's Kim. Welcome, guys. Um, we've got a very special guest today. I did an auction for her, but I've been trying to get her in. I would have loved to have had her come in with her dad, but dad is out back in Nevada, picking up some more jewelry and mining for gold and doing all that cool stuff that that he does. And so we've got Creative Lauri today. And what I want to do is I'm going to open up with a few questions for her, but I'd like you guys, if you have any questions for her, please type them with in the comments, like with some question marks before and after. So either if she catches them or I can catch them, so that way we can see what's going on. All right, more coming in. Hey, Barb and Volklam, glad you guys could make it. Shamrock Pixie. So my guest tonight is Creative Lauri, and a lot of times I interview people in the reselling community that's their strengths. You know, like people that deal with jewelry or thrifting and all. And Lauri is very special in the fact that she does pop-up auctions every now and then. She used to do them on Saturdays, but I've been seeing them sprinkled throughout the week. But that's not her main gig. Her main gig is she's a home stager and she rescues animals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up Lauri's channel in the chat. I encourage you guys to click the link, go over, check out the channel, subscribe to her, and get to know her because she's got a lot to offer and there's a lot about her. She's a very special person in the community. She's got a wealth of knowledge on a lot of things, and we're going to get into that like right now. So without further ado, I'd like to give you Creative Lauri.
Hi guys, how are you all? Thank you for joining me. Hi Dad.
Oh, Dad's in
Thanks for
here.
coming. Huh?
Dad's here.
No, he's watching.
Oh, he's watching. Okay. Well, hey, Dad, how's it going?
Thank you all for spending some time with us. I'm just putting some lotion on. I just created a second channel too. It's for jewelry only. So it's just Creative Lauri's Jewelry and Gems. And I literally did it last night. I did my first video last night. I have one subscriber. So everything for jewelry related will be on that channel. So hopefully you all will join that channel. And then if you want to continue watching decor, it'll be Creative Lauri.
Right
So
on.
guys, yeah.
So I'll make sure to get a link to that second channel in the
Okay.
description, guys, so that we can get everybody to go on over there. Unless one of the mods is real quick and can find Lauri's second channel and go ahead and put it up in the chat for us, I'd really appreciate it. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? I mean, I know a little bit, but well, like guys, Lauri grew up next to my high school, and she informed me that I went to school with Tom Hanks, possibly, and I didn't know that. So Tom Hanks is an alumni. He's probably the goofy kid that everybody stuffed in the trash cans, you know, because there was always we had class clowns all over the place. But she just grew up the road from where I was at when I was in high school.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that out there because I thought it's kind of cool. So, but other than that, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what Lauri's all about, and so we can
Sure.
get them started on the possible questions. Remember, guys, if you got questions, throw them up in the chat, and we'll do our best to get to them.
Okay. So let's see. I'm 46. I'm really huge in the animal activist community. I got started probably when I was about 6 years old. My parents had donated some money under my name for PBS. So I started getting all this literature for animals and animal activists, and they're all kind of interlinked. Once they get your name, they start sending you, mail. And back then they sent snail mail. So I would get all these petitions, and I'm very like in touch with animals and, emotions and everything. So I would go around my neighborhood along with selling my Girl Scout cookies, asking the neighbors to please protect the spotted owl, or, oh, it was various things for wolves, deer. They would try to smoke out the wolves in their dens with the cubs. I mean, I did every petition you can possibly think of. So by the age of 9, I became vegetarian. My poor parents, they were so supportive, but they said that, okay, you can do that, but you need to eat a little bit of meat here and there sometimes, okay? So I did here and there. And don't get me wrong, I love meat. I like the taste, I like the smell, but I don't like the industry. So by 18, they're like, okay, if you don't want to eat it anymore, that's fine. And they were pretty loose about it because they knew how passionate I was for it. Um, when I was 13, I went to a private school from first grade to ninth grade. But from first to eighth, it was one school. And we had a field trip to go to our local ice cream um, place. And it was called Leatherby's. And they held I don't know, Mike, you probably remember Leatherby's. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
so I think at the time they only had 2 or 3 locations. And so we had to paint their windows for Christmas. And I was so excited. We broke up in teams, and I think there was 3 other people on my team, but they were all lazy. They didn't do anything. I just kind of took over and did the whole scene. And I won, or our team won. But the owner said, she asked my teacher if it was okay just to give the prize to me. It was like $100. And then afterwards we were all going to eat at that ice cream parlor. So everyone was fine with it because I did all the work. I won for first place. So then I started thinking, well, I think I could do this on a side business, like a little side hustle. So I started at 13 to 20. I did all of the window painting for car dealerships, doctor's offices, a gym that I worked at. It was called Kangaroo Courts. Um, oh, I mean, various places, Togo's, all those places I could. Woolworths when they were still open. And I had the best time. I made a ton of money. So I not only did it for Christmas, but I did it for like maybe for the car dealerships when they were offering like a new APR or something. And I would do like the window painting for that. So that was pretty cool. So as a kid, I was able to save money. And when I turned, 17, I actually bought my first car. And I always had a little bit of money here and there, but that was sort of my creative outlet. So once I turned 20, I stopped doing it because you're out in the elements and it's really cold and my fingers would just freeze and you can't wear gloves doing it. So I had had enough and I did my time with it, but it was a great business. And then I was already working at 17 at a fast food joint, Jack in the Box, for like a year, my senior year. Graduated when I was 17, and I had gone to private Catholic school, but my sophomore through senior year, I went to a public school. And that was so much fun. I had the best time of my life. And then I got a scholarship and it was to UC Davis and it was for science and I was going for marine biology. And I was there, it's on a quarter system, and I was in the science quad and I'd always see these golf carts like leaving the quad with like primates literally packed up, stacked up, dogs, pigs, rabbits on golf carts, like leaving the quad into another building. And so I was asking, the students and the teachers, I'm like, what's that all about? And they're like, oh, well, they do animal testing here. And so those are the ones that have died or they killed. And I was like, oh, nope, I can't do this. So I My scholarship was just for science. So I forfeited it. I could not be a part of that facility because I didn't believe in it. And I had to start all over. And my parents were tapped out for money, and they couldn't pay for our college because they put us through private school our whole lives. And that was fine. So I went into retail. I started at Nordstrom, then Macy's, and I got into makeup artistry. So I became a makeup artist. And first, I was like a department manager at some point. I was really young too. I can't believe they made me one. And then I went to makeup artistry because you got commission and you can move around with it. And my goal was to move to Hawaii. And my sister and I would go to Hawaii every 3 to 4 months. And I don't know how we afforded it, but I was making good money as a makeup artist. So it supported my travel love. And so we were always going to Hawaii. We had friends there. And I was going to transfer to that Macy's. And then I met my ex-husband. And then I stayed here in the States. And I finished my degree in business accounting, and I was working at the time dual jobs, Macy's, and then in at a coffee company, Java City corporate, and that's where I met my ex also. And yeah, I was always working in the field I was working, studying for, which was accounting and auditing. Then I went from Java City corporate. I worked there for years as in accounting and business and helping the sales team. And then I transferred or I went to Rayleigh's corporate, and I was an internal auditor, worked with American Express and money laundering and all of that. That was really cool. Got into taxes. I do taxes for people now. I don't know. It's just been like such a crazy journey. And I've always had, a decent job. And then I got into construction because my dad was in construction during his vacation time or off season from work. And I always worked with my dad and got into being a project manager. Now, my degree wasn't in that. So I got paid a lot less, but nonetheless, it paid, nicely. And I worked for a national company, so I was in charge of all these different communities, bringing in the bids, awarding the contracts to different contractors, and so on and so forth. And then we'd have new communities that were built nationwide. So that was really great. I loved construction. My mom was getting sick at the time. She got meningitis that went to her brain, and she had to have surgery in her lungs. And then we found out she got Alzheimer's slash dementia. I think it was dementia, to be honest. I quit my job after a few years because I knew I had to stay home full time with her. I took care of her on my own for a year, and then my dad retired early to help take care of her, and we took care of her at home. And I'm not going to cry. That was probably my biggest accomplishment ever. And I would do it all over again. But we did it for 15, 16 years, I think. 15 years. And, you know, she passed away from congestive heart failure. And then I wasn't doing so good. And 3 years later, I thought maybe, or 2 years later, I thought maybe I should do a YouTube channel because um, it'll just help me get past that point and, you know, reach out to people and try to be me again. So I did, and so I've been doing that ever since. But during that time, when I quit my construction job, I had to find a job that was allowing me to take care of my mom, but still being around and in the area. So I started a home staging business, and I've been doing that ever since. And it's been really great, but it's a lot of work, manual labor work, and I still love it. I do model homes, I do flipper homes, I do newer homes, older homes, you name it. I've kind of just done a little bit of everything. And I I feel so blessed for having been able to do that. I went into business with two, three other ladies. That did not work out. So I got out and we all kind of split up and we're doing our own thing. And I'm still doing it. I'm not huge, but it's something that definitely pays the bills and I love doing. But I'm probably going to be switching gears a little bit and getting back into construction in the next little while. So that's it. That's where it brings me to YouTube and starting my channel on decor. And then my dad is a gemologist and we found all his jewelry. And so I've been a little bit by, here and there selling his jewelry. And that's where the pop-ups and auctions kind of came into play. So then it did pretty well. So I started my second channel. So that brings you up to date. And in the midst of all of that, I always rescued animals, cats, dogs. I rescued a skunk, possum, an owl. I mean, you name it, I've kind of like tried to help it and take it to the wildlife center or rehabilitate it myself. And it's just one of my passions and I love it. I don't regret ever forfeiting my scholarship either because I feel like you should stand up for what you believe in. Even though it made it harder on me, but it was so worth it. Totally worth it. So sorry guys, I get a little emotional talking about my mom.
Hey, that's all right. You know, we're all like that with our family members. Um, I'm amazed that you dropped that. I mean, I know you care for animals a lot. I mean, we see it in your videos when the puppies and the cats and all that. But I
Yeah.
mean, UC Davis, for people that don't know, UC Davis is like the school for medical or veterinarian or sciences, agricultural. So I applaud your conviction, to
Thank
pass
you.
up a scholarship at UC Davis because that's like the place to learn.
Yeah.
So that speaks a lot about your character, and I'm glad that I'm able to give you a chance to talk about that because
Well,
that
thank
that means a lot, and it should carry a lot of weight in with YouTube or whatever you do. Like I know you mentioned when we had talked, you said you were in construction. I said, what, you swing a hammer and cut wood and all, and you said no, I was a project manager. So I don't know if anybody, I know probably Immortal knows because she was in construction project manager, but I'm not sure about anybody else. But you kind of like were when you walked to the jobs, it was like, hey, straighten up, here comes the boss lady, right? I mean, do you want to tell them a little story about the workers when you would walk up to the job sites,
Oh,
and the daily hires? I thought it was kind of funny.
so um, a lot of the worker bees happen to be Hispanic, and they're like, "Oh, Jefe is here," and they would say, or the boss is here in Spanish, and then they would say something else, and then I'm like, "Hey, hey, 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 hey," and I would respond back in Spanish like, "Mm-mm, look, don't use that language. I'm here. It's no big deal." They're like, "Oh my gosh, we're so sorry." And I'm like, "It's okay, it's okay. Just do your job and." But no bad language, please. And so like, okay. But I can't tell you how many times I would have to do inspections at work before OSHA came and I hurt my shoulder. I had fallen off a roof line. I was going up the ladder really fast and I fell and fell down onto my shoulder. And so I have like this shoulder is injured. There's like Oh, it's like I had a little bit of surgery where they had to release the pressure in it. There was like a buildup in my shoulder between, the tendons and the muscles and everything from that fall. And then it's always been an issue for me, kind of a weird issue, but I would go back to it in a second. I loved working construction. I worked all summers with my dad in painting, contracting, or handyman work. My dad and I worked on all of our vehicles, from restoring the 67 Mercedes we had to his truck, all of our vehicles. They've never been in a shop. And so I should have gone into mechanical engineering, but I just chose a different path. You know, I didn't know I was good at mechanical engineering. And so maybe one day, I mean, I want to go back to get my master's and maybe a master or a doctorate degree. But, you know, that takes money, so I have to wait a little bit. But I love learning and traveling. Those are two, and animal activists. So those are my three passions. So one day it'll all happen.
So on the home staging,
Yeah.
like that's your company. Now you say it's a lot of hard work. It's not like what I see on TV where the home stagers just have the people bring it in. They just point and go, no, over there, over there. I mean, you actually physically put stage the house too.
Yeah. So what happens is I have a set amount of clients that hire me and rehire me and word of mouth. I don't have a website anymore. It's totally word of mouth. And they keep me pretty busy. So that website I was trying to keep up, I don't even know if I own the domain anymore. I mean, it's gone. I don't even see it. So um, really, honestly, it's just word of mouth. And when I get hired, I have a storage facility. I have all this furniture, decor, pictures, you name it, anything to decorate a home. Now, some people hire me just for like light staging, and then some people hire me for like heavy whole house staging or certain rooms, but they're fully decorated. So I get a truck, and I have assistants. So I have movers that come in and they load everything and they unload everything and they kind of put it in place. But sometimes I have to do it myself if it's a smaller project. And if I can just do it on my own, it's more profitable for me to do if it's like a cottage or a small home. So yeah, I do have assistants. I have an assistant to me. And but the thing is, I don't work in November, December because staging is dead. So those people sometimes move on, of course, because they're not working. And then I have to find new people. And so that's always hard after December, finding someone new. Sometimes they come back, but it's just the overhead of having employees and a facility, all of the furniture you have to buy, how you have to rotate it. Sometimes you can only use it so often because it'll sit in a model home for so long, sometimes years, 3 years. And after that, I'm like, if the homeowner wants to buy it, perfect, buy it, you know. But then I have to go and buy all new items. So yeah,
Wow.
it's a lot of work. It's not like, oh yeah, put this over there, put this over there. That is probably for the bigger companies who have a lot of money and overhead. But in order for me to kind of keep it, you know, smaller and not overwhelming for myself, it's best that I just have a few employees and I do a lot of things on my own sometimes, you know. But I
Yeah.
love
Now
it.
you said the furniture that some of it's if you stage a house and it stays in there for a year. I mean, isn't that pretty bad that the house isn't selling? Or I mean, what
Oh, the
happens with that furniture? Does it stay in there and then you have to say somebody wants you to stage another house? You got to go buy more furniture.
right. So model homes, the model homes sit for years. So you
Oh,
can just
okay.
stuff goodbye. And typically what happens is you give the opportunity for the new homeowner who bought the model homes. So they try to sell the whole track, you know, all the different phases of the homes, and the last to sell are the model homes. Then the model homes we offer for the homeowner to buy everything in the household because we'd rather just get rid of it at that point than pick everything up. And it's not really so useful to me anymore because it's been just sitting there forever. And I already have my pictures of it, so I really don't have any use for it. But they don't always buy everything. You know, they'll pick and choose, or sometimes they'll say no to everything, and you have to go in and have everything picked up. And so it's not a glamorous, glorious job. It's really a lot of manual labor, and I don't think people understand that unless you have investors backing you, then it probably could be, or you're part of like a larger LLC or corporation, but it's just me. So I've been lucky enough to have model homes. I mean, because I'm really just a small fry, but I'm inexpensive in comparison to the rest of the corporations out there.
Okay, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it because I mean, this is probably I'm seeing the chat there where uh, like Mandy says, I've always wondered how it really is with model homes and staging. Very interesting. I know that this is not a our usual interview, and that's why I wanted to bring Lauri here because of the diversity and the difference. And I'm trying to wrap my head around this staging. So I'm just trying to get the picture in my head. There's Lauri. She's already staged, say, three model homes for the division, the company that's going to sell those homes, and they want to show them what it looks like. Now, Lauri gets a call. Hey, my house is going for sale. A realtor called me and said, I got a house for sale. It's empty. I need you to stage it. You have a warehouse like with more furniture, or do you have to? I mean,
Yes.
I
Oh,
could see where you would have an issue with. I mean, you've got to keep up with trends, don't you? Because like you
yeah.
couldn't model a home with some old stuff. You'd have to. So that's very expensive. I could see the burden it puts on you.
It's a huge overhead. And so, that's why I try to live really humbly because my overhead for my business is big. And we have to, yeah, I go sometimes I used to go every year to this convention in Las Vegas where they show like all of the new stuff and new furniture to the stagers. And the more you buy, the more discount you get. But I've learned that I can actually get stuff locally from distributors at a cheaper price. So I no longer do that. There's just so many things that like you learn along the way. And that's why I started some videos. Well, I did one. I need to follow up and do a second, a third, and a fourth for how to start your own home staging business. It's not easy. You can do it on a very small level and maybe do it for like a flipper. A flipper who buys a home, they restore it, you come in, you can use used furniture. You can use thrifted items. I've even used thrifted items in my model homes, but you really should probably have like new furnishings, like the sofa sets and everything. So you can do this on your own in a small scale, but I just happen to like fall into this category of sometimes getting model homes, in not even close to well, some of them have been close to me, but some have been like further out in like the wine country. So you're away from home for a long time. So this was when I have like my animals, I have to hire someone to come take care of my menagerie of animals. And then I'm homesick, I just want to be home. But you got to finish these model homes. And usually there's four model homes. And then, all the homes that they create, all the different phases.
You said the
People,
wine country. I could imagine that furniture is different than if you were staging a home, say in Citrus Heights or in Roseville or somewhere. You go to wine country, that's some pretty pricey houses. So the expectation on your staging is probably really a lot of pressure.
yeah. So I try to stick within the realms of think of like Pottery Barn. So if I kind of stick within that traditional, it's a little country, it's a little bit modern, all rolled up into one thing. They do a really good job in how they market their company and their items. So I kind of stick with that idea mindset. And then sometimes I do lofts and they're selling lofts here in Sacramento. So I have to switch gears and do more like modern. And I like that. I like modern. I love Pottery Barn. I love traditional. I love all of it. And it's just, yeah, you just have to go with whatever the area dictates. So wine
Yeah.
country, a little different from like the loft areas, downtown or something. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Mandy has a question. She says, do you stage homes that people sell on their own or for realtors?
Both. So investors, developers, home flippers, so people who buy homes that like they buy one house at a time and then they flip it, they do some, you know, um, repair and I call it lipstick and rouge where they just kind of slap on paint and on the inside and outside make things look a little pretty. And it's my job to make the house look like if there's a problem area, my decor forgives that area. So you don't you take it takes your mind off of maybe the wonky walls or whatever. And so I have certain flippers that keep hiring me because they keep buying ugly houses that they that
Oh
they
God.
you do, and then it's my job to make it look pretty, you know. And sometimes they're not in the best of areas. They're okay, but it's not where I would want to maybe live. Um, but certainly when they see the house, it's beautiful. You know, it you come in, there's luxurious textiles and furnishings, rugs, drapes, everything. So it's really a fun job. It's just that it's very manual labor intense too. And my schedule is so off. I don't work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You know, it's I work whenever they call me.
Okay. So, um, with with that in mind, how do you find time to
Do you?
rescue animals?
Oh, okay. So let me.
Because I know there's a kitty cat. We've been trying. You've had a couple of auctions and all to raise some money to help. He's got to have some major surgery. But I
Yeah.
mean, I've seen some videos where I've seen a bunch of little critters running all over the place. How do you find time to? I mean, how do you herd them all up? How do you keep them all in line? I mean, how do you find time to give them the equal love like you do the home staging and the other things that you do?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. It's like when my mom, I remember the last two times she was in the hospital, I spent the night, okay? And I had a little litter of kittens that had giardia. So I had trapped them all. I had, you get them fixed, you get it done at a clinic, and then you bring them home and let them kind of rest for a little while. But I could tell something was wrong with them. So they all had giardia, which is super common in kittens. They carry it, you know, they from the mother to the kitten. Well, what happened was I ended up having to take them all in. They got medication and they had to be given this medication every 12 hours. Well, I was spending the night at the hospital and literally coming from the hospital to my house, giving them the medicine, going back, going. This went on for weeks. And I don't know how I did it. I talk to my dad all the time. We still don't know how we did what we did, you know, with my mom, my work, and rescue. But that was just one scenario. I would leave my parents' house probably like 12:30, 12 to sometimes 1 in the morning, drive 40 miles back to my area, go feed the feral kitties at night, hope that not because it was by a bar. Hopefully, no one was out there, you know. Come home, go to sleep, get up early, start all over again. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess because like you're just running on crazy energy, you know you have to get it done.
Yeah.
And I just was on go, go, go mode that whole time my mom was alive. Now that she's passed, I'm like, how did I do it? I don't know. I have no idea. Like now I think to myself, oh my gosh, I got to do a video. I'm so tired. You know? And it's like, it's all
Yeah.
hit at once. And I don't know how I did it. I have no clue. But I think God just kind of gave me the strength for my dad and I. You know, we had our moments. We were both raw nerves. We were sleep deprived, especially him, because, you know, she would
Wow.
call him in the middle of the night and we were just exhausted. And so, you know, when my mom passed, it was like all of a sudden I had all this extra time, but I was so exhausted. I couldn't I couldn't do half the things that I did then. So now I just do the rescue, I feed the kitties, I get them trapped. So when I say sometimes like I'll be on a live chat, I'm like, oh, I gotta go feed the kitties. That's what I'm going to do. And then I come home and, kind of get ready for bed.
So Mary's got a question here for you. She says, "Is there someone who watches the animals while you are gone?"
Mm. Oh, excuse me. My water. Oh my gosh. Yes. Hold on, guys. Let me towel off here. Yes. So sometimes my dad would come if he was in town, he would take care of the animals, or I would hire a service. And the service, and then my one tenant, Brian, um, he would sort of, look after them as well.
Now,
Oh,
when
you
you talk about
mean
feeding,
the
oh,
feral
sorry.
cats?
Well, with the feral cats, I had the question about the feral cats. When you're with the feral cats, I know there's organizations that are trying to keep down the the birth rate, of the population to keep them. When you get the feral cats, you're feeding them, and they kind of trust you and all. Do you ever kind of like get them in a cage and then take them to a vet and see if they? I mean, do you have your animals fixed when the ones that you either have with you that you're taking care of and rescuing, or the feral cats? I mean, do you try to do that to keep the population down, or do you just let it, you know?
Yes. So I don't just go and feed them. I trap them. Usually it's like every other Saturday for me. Um, and if I catch any of them, then I take them to the clinic Sunday morning. I get up and I'm there by like 5:30, and then we wait in line. And we're all waiting in line. It's all these crazy cat ladies, and we're chatting and da 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 da. And it's freezing outside. Sometimes it starts raining. It's obviously for the passion and the love of animals. I mean, what person in their right mind would do this, But we do it because we love animals. And so we're standing in line waiting to get, let in. And once we're let in, then we get, they take our animal, we sign up, and we get a discounted rate to have them fixed. And we pick them up that day, bring them home, let them rest a couple of days, 2, 3 days, and then we re-release them. So I don't just feed them. It's called TNR, trap, neuter, and release. So trap and release, basically. And you get them fixed, and then you let them go with their merry way. So they get their shots, they get flea treatment, they get fixed, spay or neuter, and then we let them go. All my animals are fixed but one, Meatball. And that's the one. I can't believe she's not making a noise right now, but she's howling right now. She's in heat. It's so crazy.
Wow.
But I get every one of them fixed.
And you said that they give you a discount rate, and they also give the animals a once over, right? I mean, if they think they need an injection or something or a shot or something, they give it to them, or
Yeah,
right?
so
I mean, do they do that there too?
they get their initial booster shots, and then sometimes they'll call me and say, hey, this cat looks like it has leukemia, do you give us permission to test it? And I'm like, of course. They'll test it, it comes positive, and they're like, can we put it down? I'm like, yes, please. So anything that has feline leukemia or AIDS, we just put down. Sometimes they're pregnant, and they'll tell me, it's pregnant, we'll have to abort the babies. And I'm like, well, you can't like take them, and they're like, no, once we take them out, they don't live. And I'm like, oh my God, but it happens all the time, all the time. And so yeah, but I mean, I can't tell you how many times, like when I drive out there, those kitties know the sound of my car. I have 2 cars. They know each one of them. Sometimes my tenant Brian drives me, and they don't really know the sound of his car, but when I get out and I start talking to them, they come rushing out of the bushes. And I talk to them sometimes, I say some little French words to them, and they're just like, "Oh, you're here," and I feed them and I'm petting them, and oh, I just hate leaving them behind, but I can't take all of them in, and there's so many. I don't even know how many I've fixed. It's probably over 100 over the years,
Uh,
well over 100.
Velvet Sunflower had a good question about that, but I want to read the one that Tanya had up here. She said, "Is that the Chihuahua, the one that's in heat?"
Oh, that little tiny one? No, she's old and she's been fixed. Or wait a minute, I don't know if she's been fixed because I think she came from a puppy mill. Um, no, the little meatball, the little black one that you might see come up here, she jumps up here sometimes. She's the one that's in heat
Oh,
and
okay.
fixed. That's the only one because I didn't want to take her to the clinic because sometimes I feel like they over anesthetize them and it makes them sick. And so I want to take her to the vet. I just haven't had time this past year with my dad, and because it's a whole process going to a vet versus the clinic. But I don't trust the clinic enough because they get students from UC Davis. and there's only one vet on site. So these students come in and they do the surgeries, which makes me really nervous. So I
Oh, well, they
don't,
got to learn. They got to start somewhere, though.
yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm thankful for it because we really get like, it's only like $20 per cat. That's
Oh,
really
wow.
inexpensive. Yeah. But if I'm
So,
out of town, I might call another cat lady and say, "Hey, I'm working in, Healdsburg, which is a wine country. Can you feed the cats, for the next 3 nights?" And it's usually no problem. So we kind of all work together. I'll go feed hers, so on. There's like a whole little community, and we keep in touch.
cool. Velvet Sunflower says, do they clip an ear as a mark of being fixed? That way they are less likely to be retrapped.
Yes. Yeah. So they do clip the ear. I wish I could pick up one. All my cats have clipped tipped ears. They call them tipped. So they clip it. Sometimes some vets, if you take it to a veterinarian, they'll do a little divot in the ear, like a little arrow inside the ear. But it's easier to tell from the clipped portion. They take off the tip of the ear. So when you see it, you know, like, okay, I don't need to trap that one. Okay. Sometimes I retrap the same ones. They want that wet food in my cage and they keep going in the same cage. I'm like, oh my gosh, get out. So they're just so tame because they know me and they'll just go in the cage and try to eat the wet food. I'm like, okay, guy, you got to get out. And then sometimes I catch raccoons or the skunks and I have to let them out. But they all kind of like it's all symbiotic, they all kind of get along, all these different creatures.
Mortal Hourglass says to tell you that she will take all the kitties.
Mm, okay. Come on over. I'll meet you halfway.
Um, Francis says here a lot of unwanted hungry dogs show up to eat too. Lori has one of them now. I was going to wonder, you go feed the feral cats. How do you end up rescuing the dogs? How do you find the dogs?
So, you guys have never probably seen Fred, my old lab. He used to feed at my cat feral sites. I have like three that I go feed. So he would go eat at one of them and cross a busy street to go feed at another one and another one. It took me a year and a half to finally catch him. What happened was his owner died, and the family of the person who died just let him loose, but he kept returning maybe back to the area, the neighborhood he was from. And so he was really scared. At the end of the year and a half, he just kind of let me catch him. So I caught him and I took him, and I had my pit bull, her name was Asia. She was aggressive. She was the alpha dog, but not like aggressive like pit bull, what people think. She just was the alpha dog. But she was old at that point, and I put Fred in the back, and he had a chip. I took him to the vet the next day. They called the owner. The owner was deceased. So I said, I'll try to find him a home. But my God, he was such a little blessing. I mean, he got along with all the kitties, and he was so sweet. And so I still have him. Actually, my dad has him because I live in a two-story house. He can no longer go upstairs with me, and he can no longer go back and forth, like get in my car. So he's just better off with my dad. And we still have Fred. We've had him for like, I don't know, 6 years now. And all of our dogs have been rescue dogs. The little Nugget, that little Chihuahua you saw, the little puppy, every single dog we've ever had in our entire life, except for like two. They've all been rescue dogs that I found on the street, whatever. I've been bitten before, but it's like I don't know, I have this no fear thing, and I know it's going to get me in trouble, but I just get them, and I let them know that it's okay, and whatever I have on me, the way I caught Fred, I had a turtleneck in my car. I used the arms to put around his neck as like a collar, and then I took him into my car, and I just lift his little rump into the car.
Wow.
So it's not for everybody, and people think I'm crazy, and I am, but you kind of have to be to do this kind of work sometimes. But I'm very tenacious, and I don't give up. I just never give up. I never gave up my mom, the animals, It's just something I always do. I don't give up on whatever I really want to try to achieve. But animals, for sure, I don't give up on them ever.
So has anybody ever just walked, knowing that you rescue animals? Has anybody ever walked up and said, "Here, I've got this cat or this dog. I can't take care of it anymore," or "I found it wandering around in the street, and I know you rescue animals." I mean, do you ever have that and then take them, or do you have to turn them away and say, I mean, where's your limit at how many animals you want in your house? I mean, I know you would want them all, but
Of
there's got
course.
to be a limit, right, to
Yeah.
to the madness.
You become this hoarder, and I already feel like a hoarder in a way. From like DIY, jewelry, you name it, animals. But there is a limit how much you can actually take care of. But I had this acquaintance of mine. He worked at the Dollar Tree and he was younger, and he was talking about this Chihuahua he had, and that's the Chihuahua that I have. Her name is Lucky. And I had every intention just to take her to the vet and be put down because it sounded like she needed to be put down. Well, it turned out that she wasn't so bad. She had her injuries, but and she had this huge tumor, but it was benign. So I decided I would try to find her a home, but then she kind of just worked really well in the household, and I'm just fostering her. So I've kind of like just kept her. She's 15, the little baby nugget, the little chihuahua, she's probably 14, 15. They're not going to last very long. Fred is probably now 14. Um, at some point I will be putting them down so that they don't suffer. But, I would like to take in the seniors because they're not easy to adopt out. I've had people take on a senior and they return them to me. So I would just rather take care of them myself and then, foster or adopt out the other young ones, and I check up on them. And it's been great. I've only had two or three times where they were returned because they were older and they didn't want to deal with them. So I just keep them and give them a comfortable home, and that's all that I can do. And I disperse them amongst my friends. So my sister might take one, my dad has taken a couple, I've kept a couple. So, you know, that's just
So, are you gonna ever do the dream like you and I had talked about before, the dream of gonna move to Nevada where Pop lives and get that ranch and just have all kinds of critters all over the place and then do your home staging and I mean, are you ever gonna do that or are you just gonna keep it on a small scale?
if I moved to Nevada, I would probably give up staging, but I would probably go back into construction. So I had a construction company that was interested in me up in Nevada. It just wasn't the right time for me. But there's so much like how Nevada, where my dad lives, is kind of the old Sacramento. So it's like this new growth spurt up there in Reno and Dayton and Carson City. So they have all this new homes going in there, and all the big, national builders are there. And so I wasn't ready at the time, but yes, I would like to possibly move there and have a little bit of land. And I know my dad's like, oh no, you can't because you're going to fill it with animals. But I would like to have a rescue, and I would like to hire people to help take care of them along with me. Having your own rescue, I think it's like a 501 or 502. It's really hard to maintain. So I would probably just do it on my own. So we'll see. That would be my dream. But then I would like to retire in Italy. I would love to retire in Italy and just live the rest of my
Right
life.
on.
Yeah. And just
And what
live,
would you do in Italy?
get my groceries every day, be on the coast, just be happy. Everyone's just so they live their life daily there. It's not like that rush that it is here. It's so different in Europe. So I would like to just live out the rest of my life there in that environment for sure. And do
Well,
rescue there too.
pasta and wine every day doesn't sound bad to me,
I don't
so
like pasta though. That's the problem.
we've talked about uh, the rescue and all that and the staging. But the other part of your life and your channel is you do a DIYs.
Yep.
So you guys, the if I get the mods to go ahead and put Lori's link up to her channel again, the first channel, not her, well, you can put her second one up too for the jewelry, but the one on the DIYs, I watched, I've been watching several of them, especially the one where the letters were behind you one night on your auction. I watched you make those, and you've done a few other things. Do you have a couple of items you could show everybody? Because
I
she's very crafty and very handy, guys.
Okay, so I don't like to be wasteful. So you know how when you get deliveries from like Amazon or Walmart.com, you always get like that craft paper. And so I use this for everything. I use it for wrapping my gifts, and I put a pretty like plaid bow on it. It looks really rustic and beautiful. I use it for even when I ship out my jewelry stuff, I'll put this in like the base and scrunch it up. I use it for my DIYs, which I'll show you. So I was cleaning through some of my mom's stuff, and I was going to throw this pan out. It's a cake pan. But I'm like, it was my mom. I don't know. I have a hard time throwing anything that was my mom's. It's really rusted, as you can see. But I made a little burlap pie. It's a little apple pie. And I put some apple slices on top that I made out of burlap. And inside is the paper to kind of build it up like a big apple pie. So everything is burlap. The crust is burlap. The top crust is burlap, little apple slices. And then I just remove these for whatever season it might be. So so for Valentine's Day, I put hearts on it. But for St. Patty's, I'll put some shamrocks on it. So that's one of the little apple pies. I love faux foods. The next one, I did this with all Dollar Tree items, and it's a cherry pie. So it's
Cool.
all burlap. It's a Dollar Tree pie um, tin, and some Dollar Trees sell burlap. I can't find it at mine, but they do sell it. I got this burlap at Walmart, and I made the crosshatch dough on top. And then all of the cherries are just from the Dollar Tree grapes. And so these
Amazing.
grapes, and so it's kind of primitive looking, but I love I like all this kind of stuff. So if you see these little stems on here,
Hmm.
those these are grapes, but the stems are from the back of like a leaf, a faux leaf, and I
Hmm.
take that plastic part and I just stick it in to make it look like a cherry stem. So it's super cheap, and I don't know. I like making these things. I think it's fun. It's cute. It's so primitive, and I just like it. So that's one thing. And then as far as like the burlap goes, I made these little Dollar Tree muffins. They have icing on them. Oops. And
Cute.
they're brand muffins, but this is a chamois. You just cut the car sham into like icing. You put a cherry on top, and that's the cherry cordial. This is the tin from the Dollar Tree, and I stuffed it with paper. And then you can take all of these off and make it into something else. So that way you can do something else and make brand muffins with like shamrocks or whatever. And then I did red velvet ones and chocolate ones.
Oh
The fabric
my.
made out of kitchen towel from the Dollar Tree. So everything's from the Dollar Tree. But they're so cute. Like I did a bakery for Christmas, and it's just so much fun. Like here's a couple of I did red velvet, and I did a couple of these. They're just like in these little ramekins, plastic ones from the Dollar Tree. I never glue down this part because that way you can change them for whatever season. Then here are my faux, well, I keep them in this little cloche.
Chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
Oh my, those look so good.
So they're just burlap and ribbon, brown ribbon, and I stuff them with the paper. all different shapes, like how they come out. And oh my gosh, these are so fun to make and they look so cute. I've had them in my decor for I don't know, a few months now and they're just really fun to make. So burlap and ribbon. Last thing, air dry clay. So I made these faux donuts.
Oh my God, donuts.
And I learned these on Davita Lane's channel. I think she's on here. I don't know if she said anything, but she is on here.
What are they made
And
out of?
huh?
What are they made out of?
Air dry clay.
Air dry clay.
And then the
Oh my.
frosting is what is it called? Light spackle that I put, just acrylic paint in it, and it's just a little donut.
I got to agree with Mary. The donuts are the best.
Oh, really? Okay, and this one's got some.
I mean, they
So,
look real.
yeah, well, then I made some truffles out of air dry clay and some caramels.
You're making Kim hungry, and you're making me hungry.
Oops, I just lost a caramel. Well, I know, but these are
Uh-oh.
calorie free, guys, so you're not going to gain any weight. That's what I tell myself anyway. And oh, one more. Let me just show you. Oh, it's over here. Hold on. And then I'm done. These are little chocolates I made, and they have like little rosettes that I put at the top that you can make with air dry clay and paint them and then put them on later. So they're just like little chocolates. I mean, it's just sweet little stuff. It's just fun
Is
to make.
is this crafting side of you? Is this more of a? I mean, you've got obviously a creative eye and a style about you. Is it more like a to relax? Kind of a way to unwind, decompress.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm always go, go, go. I'm a little bit like I mean, I'm not autistic, but you know how autistic kids find comfort in doing certain things like over and over. There's a little boy on YouTube where he crochets all day long for 5 hours a day. And he's big on YouTube. And I find it fascinating. And I have another friend who her son runs in marathons. So for me, I'm not that high energy or, my mindset is a little bit different. But when I come home, I'll stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning sometimes to create, something like that, just because I have this energy that I want to like, I don't know, just expel it, into something.
Hmm.
Sometimes I paint canvases, I doorbell ditch my canvases, my artwork. I mean, I do a variety of, different mediums, but it's just yeah, it's just fun for me.
That's cool. Um, Kim wants to know, how do you make them look so shiny? I guess she's talking about the candies and the
Oh,
donuts.
okay. So after I paint them with like acrylic paint, then I take Mod Podge, or you can take just cheap um Dollar Tree glue and paint over it once they're dry. Yeah, so after they're dry, they take, I don't know, maybe like these little things probably take about 12 hours to dry. I paint them, I do the little topper, and then I put the glue on it or Mod Podge, either way. Same, I made candied apples for Halloween. Those were really cute, and I wrapped them in cellophane. I made cake pops, but the thing with air dry clay that I learned, if you put it under like an airtight container, like a cloche, it will get soft again and it might get moldy. So don't do that. Just keep it out like on a plate or something.
So your fake donuts got moldy like real donuts.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
That's crazy. Um, Tanya, Thrifty Treasures wants to know, do you sell your creations?
No, no, but I give them away sometimes. In fact, I owe two people cherry pie. I
Uh,
said I was going to make one and send it to them. I feel so bad. I haven't had time, but one is to Maria in London, and then one is to Davita. that has a YouTube channel also.
The because Adam had said up there earlier, sell those bad boys on Etsy.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing, it's like I feel like I don't have time. Every time you post something, that's why I do the jewelry on auction because sometimes people buy multiple items and then I can just sell 3 or 4 pieces at one time and it's out the door. Rather than creating a description for each and everything, But it is so much fun. I mean, these little cherry pies have been so much fun to make, you guys. It's so easy. It is so easy. I made this at like 2 in the morning one time. I had to do a home tour and I wanted something. It was for my patriotic home tour that Davita was hosting. And I was like, I have to have something in the kitchen that like really says summer and patriotic, all American. So I did a cherry pie. It was totally on the fly, and I'm so glad I did it. And it doesn't take that much time at all. And it's
Um,
all cheap.
Speaking about the jewelry, I'd like to get into that second channel in the jewelry. Now, you guys, if none of you have ever, some of the new ones that are here, I want to say thank you to all the new people that are in here, partaking in this interview with Lauri. If you've not, or even some of your older ones that are here, if you've never happened to catch one of Lauri's pop-up auctions, they're extremely fun. She's got good quality jewelry, but the thing is, I want to get out there. It's your dad who procures most of this stuff and gets the loose gems and all. Isn't he certified gemologist, or he's got his certificate or something? Or
Yeah, so he's a graduated gemologist. So when he writes his name, he could put GG after it, like Dr. So and so, but he would put, his name and then GG. So he's a gemologist and he's the one who bought all of these items, the gems, um, the fine jewelry, everything. And he is the one who has all of this hordes of it. And so some of it is from years and years ago where the mines are closed. You can't get the particular items anymore. Like a lot of the amethysts that you guys have bought are closed mines and they're just deep, gorgeous amethysts. They're all from Africa. So African amethysts are super dark and deep purple, where like other areas like France or even Uruguay or um, oh, I can't remember the other place. It's lighter. So every region is known for their item, and garnets and amethysts are just dark and rich from Africa. So I have blown out so much of his amethyst and his garnets, like you couldn't believe. Topaz, all of that. So he's the one who has all of this beautiful jewelry, and we are trying to sell it in order to raise money for his sick cat, who, I mean, we started doing this, and then his cat was getting sick, and then we changed gears. Like, we're going to raise money for the cat because we're both tapped out. We both have like credit cards for like animal care, but we're at our limit on both of them. So we're trying to raise money for him. His name is Pork Chop, and he has a huge ear polyp, and they have to take out the ear canal, but they keep the ear, and then they just sew it up. And it's extremely expensive and I'm nowhere near, but we're trying. And I know a lot of you YouTubers like Francis, you've told me like, get a GoFundMe, and I'm gonna be doing that just because I don't think I can do this on my own. I'm at the point where I'm completely tapped out. I feel bad. I feel like I've taken on this awesome cat who thinks he's a dog, and I can't care for him now that he needs the help. So that's why we're just like, I did a 4 day, holiday weekend pot sale blowout. I did every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I was trying to raise money towards it. And thank you to everyone who made a purchase. I so appreciate it. And so does my dad. And yeah, I mean, I'm super excited because it has become a thing with like jewelry. And I'm still learning. I'll probably go through the GIA at some point, but I don't have the time right now, nor the money. But my dad is one of those people. I mean, he's an artist. He's a private a private pilot. He's a engineer. He's a graduated gemologist. He knows construction. He does gold digging, gold mining, gold panning. He uses like his metal detector. I mean, he does everything. Anything you can think of, he's probably done it. And he's just one of those people. And I hope to be like half the person that he is in learning and doing things.
The because I had a question up here that's wanted me to talk about the jewelry is, and I want to get who it came from here. This was from Daisy Naples. She says, Lori, have you and your dad thought about selling the jewelry on any platform, like other than just doing the YouTube auctions? Have you ever
Mhm.
thought of putting it on Etsy or Poshmark or eBay or any of that?
I have, and I did sell it on eBay, and it sold really well. But like I said, each item takes about 20 to 30 minutes to list, and then you have to do this follow up with the people. They have questions and everything. So I found it a lot easier to do it through YouTube, and I show you guys, you have the questions. I'm held accountable. I'm here. If you have any questions or any issues, you can come to me. I'd be happy, and my dad and I would both be happy to rectify any issue. We're out in the open. We're saying, hey, you buy it, and we hope you're happy with it. It is a lot easier to do it on this platform rather than eBay or Poshmark, or I could get a lot more money. So when I sell things, there is a resale value that you guys can partake in and capitalize on. So we're okay with that. Once we sell it, we're like happy for you, sell it for more money, good for you guys. I just don't happen to have the time for it. So that's why I've just done it on YouTube because I find it to be easier for me, quite honestly.
So, guys, make sure you go over and check out that second channel because you're not gonna be disappointed. Like she says, I've bought some amethyst from her and some garnet, and I can say for a fact the amethyst is the darkest purple that I've ever seen, and the prices are really great. And I always enjoy. And she doesn't do typical auction like we do on Friday. It's like you have to say want, and it kind of can turn into a fist fight. But it's fun though. It's fun getting in there and trying to snag it up before anybody else, and so it's kind of interesting. Um, the jewelry now is. Do you ever think that if you start doing real good with the jewelry, that you may like consider that being more of a full time than doing I mean, because you said that with the house staging, sometimes it's manual. You have to do it. It's heavy work. It's heavy. I know it's rewarding, but if the jewelry ever picked up, do you think you might consider just doing the jewelry and giving up on the house staging, or you know,
Well,
you know what I'm, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, at some point, I'm going to be switching gears and going back into my old employment, which was career, which was project managing. And yeah, I mean, definitely, I need to go back into it because, you're building your retirement, you're getting bonuses, you have a 401k, you're getting healthcare. I mean, all these things I have to pay for. I have to pay for my employees. I have to pay for insurance. I have to pay for a facility. It's a huge overhead. I would like at some point, as sad as it may be, I love doing this. I want to go back into my old career and let someone else have the worries. I want to go to a corporation and just work the rest of my years and retire and move on because it is really labor intensive home staging. It was fine in my 30s and now my 40s. I mean, as we get older, I mean, our bodies start to like wear a little bit. And I'm really high energy, but gosh, it's hard on my back. It's hard on everything. So, um, yeah, I'm definitely going back into project managing And if that doesn't work out, which I would love for it to, then I would probably get back into like the business realm of like auditing. And I mean, I do taxes on the side too. So there's always something I can do. I'm never going to be without money. So I'm starting tax season right now, doing taxes for people. So everything that I do is working towards, something, but having to work for a corporation is very different from working for yourself because you have that, just knowing that you're taken care of in a way. You have insurance provided for you. You sure,
Hmm.
you pay a little bit, but nothing like what I pay. You have that ease of mind, like it's them, it's not on you. So yeah, I would go back into project managing for sure. Sorry, that was a puppy.
And that was the puppy, one of the puppies.
That was the puppy, the pill. We call
They
him good
want
luck.
he's wanting attention.
Well, I think my roommate is coming downstairs, the police officer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's letting you know. So I just one thing I do want to ask about when you said you had an assistant that is your assistant to you, but then there's that November December when you don't do this day. And I know I'm rolling back into the other subject, but I was curious. Do you have anybody that is like okay in February in December, just November and December, there's no staging because it's just a horrible
Literally.
time, like you said.
Yeah.
So the people that worked for you from January up to then, are there any that are like, okay, I I can find something to do for 2 months, and then they're steady. They come back, in January, and that you can count on, or do you have, like those that you said you had one personal assistant? Do they like? Does that
Yeah.
ever? Does that happen?
Oh, there's people that haven't come back because they're like, I need to make money. I need to work, consistently, which I completely understand. So there's almost a month and a half, sometimes 2 months where they won't work. And I don't blame them, you know. So it's usually in January where I have to find someone new. But sometimes people come back. They're like, no, I'm sorry, I didn't come back. I had to have something. They went to go work for Starbucks or Macy's or something. A lot of times they're students, they're retired folks, or they're like stay-at-home wives, where their kids are older now and they come and work for me. So, I mean, I have a variety of people, but it's especially the movers. The movers, and I don't believe them. I don't blame them. But the thing is, there's a ton of movers out there. But I'm really picky. I'm very meticulous. I don't want anything to touch anything in the truck. If it touches, it has to be wrapped with like blankets and bubble wrap or whatever. I don't want anything to get damaged. They have to be super careful. So that is like a very high turnover, but they kind of get your nuances and what you're trying to do, and they get it. I treat them well, so they stick with me for a while, but come the dead season, they might seek other opportunities, obviously, and sometimes they do come back, surprisingly. So I'm very lucky with that.
So yeah, I could see that, and I can also see why the project manager is looking really good. Because that takes that burden off of you. That's a great responsibility to have other people under you instead of just worrying about yourself.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
hope it happens for you, and I hope you get that ranch in Nevada where you can have
And
all the animals and all the critters. I think that'd be cool. I mean, they need saving up there in Nevada too.
oh yeah, it's very different up there. So they're not as like California where they're super as aware as we are with like a lot of things, but they do like a lot of Mustang roundups, and they round these Mustangs up and they kill them, or they jump off the canyon, because they get helicopters and they round them up every year. This happens. So I would like to be a part of that community where we rescue them. That doesn't happen, or we take the donkeys and the mules and rescue them as well. um and it's worse in other countries. You think it's bad here, but it's worse in other countries. So it's starting the awareness here. And it's like, I know sometimes ignorance is bliss, and once you get those images in your head, it's horrible. But it's really up to us. um once we become aware, to kind of like be a leader in, what we believe in and to act on it and in a nice way. I don't condemn anyone for eating meat. I don't condemn anyone for not knowing, but once you know, then let that be a learning experience and to turn it into like a better care for your animal or whatever. And there are resources out there. It is difficult. It's hard for people to get free care, but that's where like foster families come in. Like Frances fosters kitties, or she did. A lot of people out there do, and that's what it takes. It takes all of us to come together and to do this as a community, as a nation, as a world, for humanitarians to take care of our world, our people, our animals, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. And did you say they round them up with helicopters and then shoot them?
Yeah, they either shoot them or they get shoved off of out of fear. They try to get them to the edge of a canyon and then they fall.
That is horrible.
And it doesn't just happen in Nevada. It happens in Montana, Wyoming. I mean, so many roundups for wolves, for foxes, you name it. It happened. Bobcats. I mean, how they put smoke into their dens and it's poisonous, and they come out and they kill them.
I wonder how many ranchers would appreciate having an extra horse or two. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know.
You rescue them, you get them calmed down. Of course, the breaking part is up to the rancher, but how many couldn't use a couple of extra horses? There's got to be a lot of ranchers around the country that could use animals. I mean, it's sad, hearing that happens.
I mean, they're an American icon. They were brought over by the Spanish, yes, but here's the thing. Like, I feel like I wouldn't forward them on to anybody until I broke them. And I have a very gentle way with animals that they take trust in me. I would do that and then forward them on to be fostered or, to another home. And yeah, I mean, it's just like a barn cat. We fix a cat, we get it, all good. And then some people will take it on as a barn cat, which means they round up they take care of the rodent population,
Yeah,
basically.
a mouser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So super, super important. I just tell everyone, think outside the box. When you see a hit animal, check to see if it's alive. Most of the time it is. Well, I would say half and half, but check it. I always do. And when you see their little eyes looking up at you because it's been hit on the freeway, it's it's just so awful. So I have like cardboard in my trunk, and I have these welder gloves that I put on, and I just scoot them onto the cardboard, and I put them either into the trunk or my car, and then I take them to the vet, the emergency vet, and you just surrender them. It doesn't cost you anything. It just takes your time and your initial care, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a good thing to know and a good thing to do. Um, is there anybody got any questions for Lori here? Creative Lori, I should say, because we saw the pies, the donuts, the candies, the cookies, all that cool stuff, and I I don't want to go too much longer because Dwayne does have his auction tonight, and I think it's Adam. Could you get the link up, or one of you guys get the link up for Dwayne's channel for the MSP auction? I know that's a Mystic Vision, or I know her name's Karen, so I think she's going to be in the auction tonight, and she usually has some pretty cool stuff. So I want to make sure we give everybody time to get your dinner, your drinks, or whatever, and you get in front of the computer and get ready to start bidding. Um, let's see. Mary says, Lori, I thought I was the only one who did that, picked up injured animals. I'll tell you what, that takes guts. I'd be afraid. I mean, when I lived in Alaska, you see a lot of hurt animals that run into in front of traffic. Usually, though, it's larger animals. It's like moose,
Right.
or depending on where you live, like when we lived out in the bush, it was caribou, things like that, and foxes. But the first thing they always warn you about the fish and wildlife up there is don't go near an injured animal.
Right.
I mean, because usually if there's an injured animal where I lived, there was a bear nearby. So
Oh. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now he's got like you as an hors d'oeuvre, and then he's got the main meal sitting there squalling and moving around. So
Right.
we usually didn't we usually didn't mess with anything that we saw unless like I did hit a, a deer
Oh.
and one time, or no, it was a caribou. They were making their way across the road. It was a caribou and Fish and Game. I called them and they came out and I'd killed it. It was with a truck. I wasn't paying attention and I was just heading down the dirt road. And they came and they got him and they took him to a family that needed meat. So
Yeah.
that's what they do up there. I don't
Yeah.
think they do that down here in the States.
No.
I mean, I don't know.
In fact, it's illegal if you hit a deer here. It's illegal if you have a firearm, if you have a concealed weapon to shoot and kill it. You're supposed to call CHP. But by the time they come, I mean, it's suffering all that time. And if you're in the mountains or foothills, forget it. So honestly, that's probably something I would probably get arrested over for shooting and putting the deer out of misery. And I'm fine with that. I don't care. I know that I'm doing the right thing. But I've never been arrested before. I don't intend to. However, that is something that if I had to get in trouble over, so be it. Yeah.
Stingray Steve says we have a rehab place here, and some animals stay who can't make it in the wild. I may make a video of the place if peeps want. Hey, I think that'd be very interesting because what happens to those wild animals that can't be? Because I've seen the rescue channels like where they show the eagle or the owls, and what happens if they can't fend for themselves because of certain injury that allows them not to? What do they do with them? I mean, do they keep them? I guess they keep them and take care of them until they grow old and die, right?
Yeah, they keep them in their little reserve. People take them on that foster them initially, but they keep them there. Like we have a wildlife center here, and I take all the animals that I find that are wildlife there. I've even taken like little pink possum babies, and they rehabilitate and they usually let them go back in the area you found them if they're like bigger, or if they can't be released, then they do have people there taking care of them, the fosters that just keep them or on site. Yeah, so that would be great for you to do. Yeah, Steve, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that video. And he says cranes, turtles, pelicans, etc. Would you ever consider taking? I consider that an exotic animal. Would you ever deal with a turtle? Or, I mean, I know there's turtles out in ponds and all. So, say if you saw one that was injured or it was caught in a fence and it had been hurt, would you would you deal with a turtle?
I did. I actually went to my friend's. She had a Chinese market. Her family owned it, and she kept wanting to like keep me away from it because she knew how I was. And I had her Christmas gift, and I was like, Lucy, I have to. I'm in the area. Let me just drop off your gift. And she's like, okay. So I come, and she's working the register, and it's a huge like Asian market. And I go, well, you're busy. Let me just, I'll go walk around and look around. She's like, no, don't, just stay here, just stay here. And I was like, no, you're busy. Now I know why. Because I walked towards the fresh food section and they had soft shell turtles that were like, I'm not kidding. Let me back up. Um, this big, okay, the shells, they had necks like this long, and the head looked bigger than a chihuahua. It looked like a chihuahua head, and they're all looking up at me, and I'm like, oh my god, what are they doing with these things, and I was ignorant to it. And then they had a big plexiglass bin of red-eared slider turtles, and so many were packed on top of each other, they were getting compressed. So I started crying there. And my friend was like, "Oh my God, I told you not to come here." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So I bought one of the turtles that was getting smushed. Its shell was getting compressed so much that its little innards were coming out. So I'm like, "I want that one. Just give me that one." I took it home. I had it for a long time, and it had a lot of diseases and issues and health problems and pneumonia. But I had it for a very long time, and it was an aquatic red-eared slider. And because I have interest in marine animals, and then it did die because it did have complications. It was so sad. But I took on that, And I tried to rescue a river otter here close by, and then as I was trying to rescue it, someone ran over it again.
Oh
And then it
my.
was, yeah. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So yeah, I'm the crazy person that's like pulled over trying to like, pick it up or, I am that crazy person, but to me it's so completely worth it. And I don't care what anybody thinks. I mean, my dad tells me, you don't do this, you're gonna get hit. There's been times I've almost been hit, but to me, it's like I know it's a chance I've been taking, and I don't take that great a chance anymore, but I do whatever I possibly can and try to save these little animals. I mean, can
Mhm.
you imagine being hit and just laying there to die? So that's why I do it. I don't want
Very
them to.
noble, very noble cause. Very, very, very noble of you. We're coming up on 6:30, so I do want to say one more thing though. I saw what's happening here. Stingray Steve, I want to let you know the reason that the Nightbot did what it did is we don't really allow for any promoting of another of your channel or anybody else's channel other than the mods. If I tell the mods to put the link up, so what I want you guys to do is since that happened, he did have say something up there about a video that was of an animal that had been hit twice in its life and been
Oh,
rescued. So I encourage you all to go click on the three red dot or the three dots next to Stingray Steve's name. The chat will stay up when it reloads. I don't ever turn the chat off. So when it repopulates, if you guys can, come back if you can't get it now and go check out Steve's channel for that story, that video.
yeah.
Okay, so make sure you get over because I'm going to go over there. I think that sounds pretty interesting. I'd like to see how that animal turned out.
Mm,
One last thing, Mary says, "You go, girl. Just be careful. We all need you, us humans and the animals. So
yeah.
be careful." I think she's saying, animals do get kind of crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
even though they know you're helping them, but
Yeah.
with that said, it's coming on 6:30. I want to say, man, Lori, this was like, if not the best, one of the best interviews that I've done.
Well,
I
thank you. Thank you
you
so
have
much.
had a lot of information. I'm glad everybody got to really know you and know what's going on. Before we go, hey guys, if you can put up her two channels again, I'd appreciate it. The mods,
Yeah.
we get them over there, can get to her auctions too to support the kitties and the doggies and all that kind of stuff. And I want to thank you for allowing me the chance to pick your brain and share you to the rest of the world in the YouTube community and to let people know there's more than just reselling, guys. I mean, look at it here. We have Creative Lauri. She makes cherry pies out of burlap sack and plastic grapes and the back of leaf stems off of plastic leaves. I mean, come on. And she makes donuts out of clay and candy, and it looks real. There's more to us, I think, than just what we do, whether we're resellers or we chase Bigfoot or we create pies out of burlap or we dive in dumpsters or, we're jewelry makers or thrifters. There's a lot more to each of us than just that, and I am so appreciative that I was able to share you, Lori, to the rest of the community. I considered it an honor, and I thank you for letting me do that.
Well, thank you. I am so grateful, absolutely. And thank you for giving me the opportunity.
So, is there any last thing you want to say to the group here before I close it out?
No, that's it. Just, be a good human and a humanitarian and care for your fellow being. And if you see a homeless person, buy them lunch or dinner. Help whenever you can and think outside the box and with the animals as well. If you don't want to stop, call, animal control or the sheriff department and they can redirect the call. Just do something. Don't leave it up to somebody else and just take responsibility sometimes. But thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate all your thoughts and your well wishes.
Right on. And with that said, guys, what I want to say is thank you all for being here and showing the love and support for my guest that's in here and his channel. And remember, come back if you want to check out anybody's channel. Come back after this reloads through YouTube, click the three little dots, go check them out, man. Like, go check out Stingray Steve. I want to see those animals, what the ones he's talking about, you know, and things like that. So make sure you guys go do that, and make sure you don't forget Dwayne. MSP is auction is at 7, so it's a little under a half an hour, and I think it's Mystic Vision. Karen is going to be there, so make sure you get over there and give Dwayne some support and show him over there that, hey, we're here, man. Let's buy some stuff. And with that said, I wanted to ask God to bless each and every one of you with a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy your life. Happy family, happy kids, all of that good stuff. I pray that he prospers you guys, gives you much success, great money, just whatever it is that you need, just ask him, because I'm asking him to bless you with that. And don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment down below or a question in the comment section. If you don't want to do that, you can always send it to askmike@yahoo.com. Answer all my emails. And don't forget to share this. You know, let's get Lauri out there. Share this video on your social platforms. You know, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all of that. You know, let's get Lauri seen out there. Let's share her with the rest of the world. Okay. And with that said, I'm gonna tell you all a good night. I'll see you at the auction, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Rollin Picker out.